Before our slow travel lifestyle, and when we were working full-time, we would typically stay no more than 2 or 3 weeks in a destination, and it was go, go, go to pack in all the sites. Michael calls it the stack. Now that we are retired, we are having to relearn how to slow down and pace ourselves. Our days are now usually one activity during the day, followed by a very long and leisurely meal, and perhaps entertainment at night. And occasionally we have a day off where we just chill. Paris has been a challenge to that, however, because there is just so much to do. Take the Louvre, for example. It can be hugely overwhelming.
There is a bit of a wait. I do recommend getting here a little early.
The museum is massive, with nearly 400,000 objects to view and never enough time to view them all. It would be easy to just spend your time viewing the most famous pieces only, like the Venus de Milo and Winged Victory. Or like the Mona Lisa, where you spend a long time in line and where it can get crazy. To help us navigate to the other amazing but less touristy pieces, we took a guided tour called Seeing Another Side of the Louvre. Paying for an added guided tour really brings the museum to life, but you have to book early. With our own research, we came up with this list of somewhat hidden gems at the Louvre that you will have to check out with us. First up is the Ain Ghazal Statue, which is among the most remarkable specimens of prehistoric art.
This is a really neat piece you'll want to see that's not a typical part of the Louvre tour. This thing is 9,000 years old. It's the oldest sculpture that they've ever found, 9,000 years old, found in Jordan. And it was discovered, it was worked on by the Smithsonian, and now it's on a loan that is 30 years long, but will probably continue, but is literally predates Christ by 7,000 years. So this is a really neat thing to see.
The Dendera Zodic is one of the best preserved ancient depictions of the observable stars. Although it contains many of the zodiac symbols, it is more accurately described as a star map.
This is the Dendera Zodic, and this is really interesting because when they first found it, they thought it dated back to 3000 BC. And at the time, that really sparked a lot of controversy with the Catholic Church that said that did not line up with their belief of when the world was formed. That was later found out not to be true, but it's a very cool story that comes along with this wonderful piece.
These days, the Louvre considers their Persian collections and the remnants of the palace of Darius, the ruler of the Persian Empire, to be among its most prized holdings. But unlike its blockbusters like the Mona Lisa, the Darius Palace rooms are little visited and hard to find, but they're worth it.
Another piece that we found while we were exploring kind of the other part of the Louvre is this piece here. It's from ancient Iran, and what's neat about this is you can see the color withstands time. So most of the pieces obviously in the collection and that we see from Greece and everywhere else are usually white, but this has retained its color because it was colored and glazed. So this thing is 500 BC, really beautiful and a neat thing to go look at as you come through the kind of unexplored collection of the Louvre.
The history of the Louvre Museum actually begins below ground. On the lower levels, visitors can view foundational ruins of a medieval castle and fortress that would later become a royal residence for generations of French kings and emperors.
If you come downstairs to the lowest portion of the museum, you'll see where the Louvre was born. This is really neat because it's the original medieval fortress from 1190 that was constructed to protect Paris, and over the years it's grown into what we now know as the Louvre Museum.
We think that Hammurabi's Code is one of the most exciting works in the Louvre. It is the earliest collection of written laws in the history of man. I was most excited about seeing the Hammurabi's Code. It's the basis for many laws that came after it, both religious and secular. You'd probably be most familiar with the idea of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That concept came from the Hammurabi Code. Gender and sexual identity are on the minds of many right now. For those used to dividing the world neatly into male and female, the new way of thinking feels, well, new. But of course, these complexities are as old as humanity. First impressions of sleeping Hermaphroditus are of a gracious and sensual body that leads one to think that the figure is a female nude. The other side of the statue then brings a surprise, revealing the figure's androgynous nature. The Great Sphinx of Tanis is a granite sculpture that dates back as early as the 26th century BC. It was discovered in the ruins of the Temple of Amun-Ra in Tanis, Egypt's capital during the 21st dynasty. We have a great love for Egypt, and spoiler alert, the country may be in our near future, so stay tuned. Watch this video to see what's next on our adventures, and check out our customizable merchandise store. See you soon!